Hey everybody, welcome to Levi Stadium. The 49ers today hosting their first day of rookie minicamp. The first time we get to see the 49ers on the practice field. We're going to break it all down for you, going to give you the good stuff and the not so good stuff next on Inside the 49ers with Jack Hammer. Hey everybody, this is Jack Hammer. I am here at Levi Stadium where the 49ers just wrapped up their first day of rookie minicamp. Practice ended about an hour ago. You can hear the noise in the background. Some of the trucks are leaving the facility. We'll let them pass by. But the first day of rookie minicamp, it was a fun one here today at Levi Stadium at the 49ers training complex. It was great to finally see them on the field. There's been so much talk about the 49ers and the quarterback situation, the offensive line. They need to get a defensive end, all those kind of things. And it was great to finally stop the talk and get to actually see players on the field for the first time. Let's get to it. Let's go through some of the major impressions that came out today. They had all 9 of the draft picks were here, including 12 undrafted free agents. So they all made it. They had 11 tryout players. And they also had some of their guys that were on their team last year come back. Jason Poe, Leroy Watson, Alfredo Gutierrez, wide receiver Tate Martin, defensive backs Quantrez Knight, Taylor Hawkins, and Trace Willing. All of those guys were on the 49ers practice squad last season. They participated in today's practice as well. And the practice went about 80 minutes. And here's what stood out. Number 1, Ronnie Bell, the wide receiver out of Michigan. The 49ers took him late in the draft in the 7th round. And the former Michigan wideout showed off his physicality, especially in the second half. He didn't really show out very much in the beginning, but as practice went along, he really started to make some plays and several times going up and taking the ball away from defenders. You know, one of the things about Bell, he's not the biggest guy. He doesn't look physically imposing, kind of like, you know, what Deebo Samuel looked like his rookie year, but he shows the toughness that the team thought they were going to get with some of these plays. And just a couple of examples. The first one was a deep post that he was running. Bell went deep. He was able to jump up and he was able to get the ball over the head of Trace Swilling. As I mentioned already, Swilling was with the 49ers last year. He's an NFL veteran. And Bell was able in his first rookie minicamp to go up and take the ball away from him. And then a few plays later, they sent Bell on a deep route down the left sideline. The ball was a little underthrown, and he was able to outleap undrafted free agent Deshaun Jameson out of Texas for the grab. So it was a good first impression for Ronnie Bell, I felt like today, making some plays right off the bat. And then also, you know, the other one, this name not going to be a surprise to anybody, Jair Brown. The 49ers traded up to take Brown with their first of 3 selections in the 3rd round, and he looked like you would expect during the rookie minicamp. He looked like the best safety on the field today. He was always around the ball and was quick in and out of his breaks. So there was even one play during the portion when the defense was working by himself and they have some scout things going on, and he was able, you saw his ability to break on the ball, and he came away with an interception there. So a good first impression for Jair Brown. Definitely looks the part of an NFL safety, has the mentality. That was the other part that showed off prior to the practice when he came in to meet with the media. He showed a lot of poise in that as well. So look forward to seeing what Jair Brown brings to the 49ers this year. But it was a good first impression. And this was the only day we're going to get to see these guys before they get together with all the veterans. This was of the 3-day rookie minicamp. This was the only day that the media was allowed to come in. So the next time we see him, it's going to be out there. These guys, it's going to be out there with all the veterans. And so that's going to give us a really good view of where these guys are once they get to play with all the veterans that are going to be there once OTAs start. Also, another guy that showed up today that looked really good is everybody's favorite draft pick, the guy that was taken at number 99 overall, Jake Moody, the kicker. You know, the 49ers raised some eyebrows when they took him, but I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised by what this guy can do. he's working on the side field during practice because they didn't have a long snapper, they don't have a holder, so they just have a little contraption that holds the ball up for him to kick on. But he was working up on the side field, and he hit one from about 45 yards out that hit way up on the net, and the net's not as far back as normally during a game, but he showed off his strong leg on a couple of kicks today. Made everything every kick that I saw go up went through the uprights. But he's got a really strong leg. I'm really excited to see what this guy looks like once the full team is here and they start doing their full workout, and you get to see him working with Tabor Pepper and Mitch Wisnowski, and then also seeing him working on his kickoff. So Jake Moody looked good today. And in the little bit that we saw, for most part, though, as a kicker, they don't do a whole lot in practice, and he spent a lot more time standing on the sidelines than he did kicking. But the little bit of kicking that he did looked really good. That brings us to the tight ends. We have Cameron Latu, Braden Willis. Latu, when you look at the two tight ends standing next to each other, Latu and Willis. Latu is the much thicker of the two. You look at his legs and his build there, just much thicker legs. And what we were able to see of him today is he had some good hands. He was able to display some good hands, made some nice catches. For the most part, Latu was solid with his route running as well, but he was pulled aside a couple of times by tight ends coach Brian Fleury to make some corrections on the way he's running his routes. He also did line up incorrectly on one play, but it's day one. Those things are going to happen, but he needs to improve on that one as this minicamp goes through and as they start to get in OTAs. Can't have those kind of errors. But on day one, sometimes that's going to happen. Braden Willis, the tight end out of Oklahoma, he looked smooth in his routes. He showed off good hands as well. He was targeted a couple of times during the 7-on-7 drills today. One of them was a really nice diving grab. It was over the middle. He's going from left to right. The ball was a little low. He had to go down and get it. A lot of traffic around him on that play too, and he was able to come up with the reception. So a nice job by Braden Willis today. And then, so those are the tight ends. So let's take a look at the linebackers. And when you look at the linebackers, Jalen Graham was taken with the last pick of the draft for the 49ers. D. Winters taken a little bit ahead of that in the 6th round. And of those two, Jalen Graham looked the best. Jalen Graham looked like the best linebacker on the field today. He showed good quickness in and out of his breaks, and he just had a lean look to him. He just seemed to be able to have a really good fluidity to everything that he was doing on the field. So really liked what I saw from Jalen Graham today. He was all around the football, like I said. The couple of times he was just right there to knock the ball away or make the tackle as soon as guys caught the ball on underneath route. So it was a good day overall, I thought, for Graham. D. Winters, he had the more impressive 40 time of the two linebackers, but it didn't show today. The thing about the two, Winters is much more bulked up, much thicker in terms of like the muscles and those types of things. And today it just didn't seem like the speed of the 40 time that we saw didn't show up today. But they didn't also, it was no run defense. Today was all 7-on-7 stuff. They didn't really get to run a full team period. But when it came to even pass coverage, it looked to me like Jalen Graham was the more fluid of the two when it came to pass coverage. Winters did have a nice coverage on one route down the middle on the tight end, was able to run just underneath a route over the middle by, I believe it was Willis. So he was able to kind of get right underneath there. It was good position on that one. But overall, I would say of the two, if I had to rank them, I'd put Graham having a better day today than Willis. And then also we get into the secondary and we start to look at what we had going on there. And in the secondary, you're looking at Darrell Luter Jr. Luter looked like the best cornerback on the field. I keep saying this, and you should be excited about that if you're a 49er fan, that the guys during a rookie minicamp that were looking the best at their positions were the guys that were the draft picks. So that was the one thing that stood out to me today, was that the guys that were drafted definitely looked better than the guys that weren't drafted. I know the 49ers have a lot of history in terms of undrafted friends making the roster and those types of things, and usually it's because they start to show out and they show off right from the beginning in days like this. But today it was really the draft picks that stood out the most, and there was a couple of guys that stood out that weren't drafted, but for the most part it was like the best players on the field were the draft picks. And with Luter, you see him, he just has really long arms, and he's able to get right up in the face of the wide receiver repeatedly, use those hands. Because those arms are so long, he's able to get those arms out, extended, keep the receiver off of his body, and he's able to redirect, and that really helps him with winning the reps. He did that several times today. And then in terms of another draft picks, Robert Beal Jr., After the draft, the 49ers praised his ability to get off the ball. Didn't really get to see a whole lot of him today. The defensive lineman working across on the far field, so we weren't able to get quite as good a look. But I will say that one of the things that they really liked, like I said, was his ability to just get off the ball, GTFO, right? Get the heck off, and that was on display today. So they do a drill where they get into the bags, they line up close, and it's a get off drill to see who hits the bags first. Obviously, he was the one that was winning that, but did a really good job there. And then also another defensive lineman that looked good today. Spencer Waggy out of North Dakota State. He was an undrafted rookie free agent, and he looked really good. He looked explosive on his get off, and he doesn't show any side effects of the knee injury that sidelined him for most of the 2021 season. He was back healthy last year. Waggy didn't even have any kind of a brace or sleeve or anything on his knee. He's a guy that I would say to keep an eye on throughout how these offseason workouts and training camps. See how he progresses as this goes through. Don't think he's going to be an edge rusher. He might be able to make some push in terms of the defensive interior, though. And if he doesn't make the roster, this is the guy that I could see making it to the practice squad if he continues to play the way that he did today. And then Keelan LeBourne, the running back, he was an undrafted rookie free agent running back out of Marshall. He looked really good today. It's hard when you look at the running backs, it's hard on a day like today where there's no contact, there's no hitting. They don't have any pads on. The offensive line isn't working. So basically what they're doing is working 7-on-7s. But he showed a good burst, was able to make three nice catches on all of the passes that came his direction. And then once he got the ball in his hands, was able to make something happen with it. So LeBourne looked good. And then that brings us last but not least, Isaiah Winstead. Want to make sure that I talk about the wide receiver, another undrafted rookie free agent, drew a lot of attention prior to signing with the team. Friday was a quiet day for him. When it came to the receivers, you could see that he wasn't the guy that was drafted. And, it was, like I said, it was quiet. He struggled to get open for most of the practice, and he made it, but he did make one catch, and it came on the final play of the practice. He ran a little hitch route over to the right side. As soon as he turned around, the ball was there, was able to reach up, grab it, fell down onto his rear end and back. But it was just one of those days. First day of practice, and that's my biggest thing here is the day one of practice. There's going to be some mistakes. You're going to see some guys looking really good. You're going to see some guys not look so good. But it's key to remember it's day one. So when you look at those, when you hear me talking about some of the guys that are struggling a little bit or those kind of things, just remember it's day one, and they have a long ways to go. The tryout guys, none of the guys that were here on a tryout basis really stood out. There was one wide receiver. He was a little guy, and I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. I'll get it. If you follow me here on YouTube, I'll make sure that I hit it up. But he was a shorter guy. He was number 82, and he was really made a really nice reception down the left sidelines. If you guys can just bear with me for a minute, I'll pull out my roster from today. Don't want to shortchange him because he made some really nice catches, including a deep ball down the left sideline, and that should have made my report. I should have thought about that a little bit earlier, but Gavin Schoenwald, no, not Gavin Schoenwald, Jacor Pearson is who it was. Jacor Pearson, out of Mississippi, wide receiver, 5'8", 190, short guy, but was able to get out there and make some really good plays. There was a deep ball down the left sideline that was just did a really good job. He was able to beat the cornerback down the sidelines, and on that play, he beat Deshaun Jameson, also the same guy that Ronnie Bell beat. He was able to beat Jameson down the left sideline. The ball was a little overthrown, but he was able to get his hands out in front of him, make a diving catch. So it was a really nice catch there. So I wanted to make sure that I give a shout out to the Jacor Pearson out of Mississippi. He was the tryout player of the day. So that was a good one. Liked what we saw from him. He had a couple of nice catches as well, not just a deep one. So good stuff there. It looks like, according to Kieran, he says that Pearson is from the XFL, and that's great. Maybe, the 49ers have had some success with getting guys from these other leagues. Remember, that's the league that they had started a couple years ago that lasted only a few. I don't even think they finished the deal because of COVID. That's where the 49ers were able to get Daniel which is they were able to get the offensive lineman. It's not Daniel Kilgore. That's a different name. But Daniel Brunskill, thank you, Andrew. They were able to get Daniel Brunskill from that league. And so, the 49ers do a really good job of scouting with their pro and college level scouts. So you get Brunskill from there. You get Pearson coming in and having a good day today. We'll see what happens. The only thing there is he's just the size. He's 5'8", and it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. But overall, like I said, good first day. The guy that made the biggest impression that really stood out, at least for me, was Ronnie Bell. Had a little bit of a slow start at the beginning, but really came on towards the end. Jared Brown, just to kind of recap, Brown looked like the guy that the 49ers traded up for. Braden Willis, Cam Latou, both looking good with their hands. Latou definitely the bigger of the two. Thought that Jalen Graham had a little bit better day today than D. Winters. And then in terms of the undrafted rookie free agents to keep an eye on Spencer Waggy and Keelan LeBourne. They're both two guys to keep an eye on there. And then Pearson was the one tryout guy that really stood out today. So there you have it. That's the report from day one of rookie minicamp here at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, this didn't make it too, and it should have. Darn it. Thank you, Michael, for asking this question. He asks, how did the right tackle do, Joey Fisher? Joey Fisher didn't do too good. It was a nice, hot 72-degree day today, and Fisher didn't make it through practice. He made it through about the first 45 minutes of practice, and then he had to take a knee. Heat got the better of him. He had to step out. So it wasn't a good day today for Joey Fisher. He was one of those undrafted rookie free agent signings, but he did struggle today. Didn't make it through practice. So thank you, Michael, for pointing that one out. Most of it, like I said, I was trying to focus on the guys who actually made an impression. I wanted to make sure I got all of the rookies to you in terms of the draft picks, and I felt like the draft picks for the most part were the best. But then you look at a guy like Fisher here, who got a lot of notoriety coming in as an undrafted rookie free agent. He really struggled today with the Heat. So that's one of those things. Hey, when you're coming into a situation like this, you need to get yourself ready to go. You need to make sure that your body's completely healthy and fluids and all those types of things, so that you can come out here and you got to make the impression. You got to come out and you got to do it. Portola 45 saying about the heat, the sun. Yeah, and it was 72 degrees, cold. I was out here in shorts, but I got a little bit of goosebumps on there. So it was not a good day today for Joey Fisher. We'll see what happens with him. You don't really get a whole lot of look at these guys during this time. So what I will say about the offensive linemen that were here, of the veterans that were here, we did get to see everybody's favorite from last season, the offensive lineman who the 49ers signed as an undrafted free agent that made the practice squad, Jason Poe. Jason Poe was here working with the interior offensive lineman, and he looked solid as you'd expect, considering he was with the team last year. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And in terms of the player that stood out most, like I said, I think the player that stood out most to me was the athleticism, not the athleticism, but the ability to go make plays of Ronnie Bell. I thought he was the guy that stood out the most, was able to get up, make some catches. So overall, a really good day for the 49ers, a good first day. And we'll see how this progresses throughout the rest of the offseason. I believe the next day that we'll be allowed to come up for practice will be OTAs, which is going to be a week from, won't be next week. I think it's going to be the week after that. In terms of Moody, Michael Miller is asking, how did Moody look? He looked good. Like I said earlier on, he had a couple of nice kicks. He was working on the side field. He popped one from about 45 yards out that hit way up on the net. He's got a really strong leg. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do during training camp, especially when they start to show kickoffs and all those types of things as well. So it'll be fun to see how that plays out. Really quick, got to give a shout out to Lucas. Hey, Lucas, how you doing? Hey, Jack, he says. Lucas, good to have you on board. He's a member of the Toolbox. That's why he's got that little dollar sign next to his name. If you're not already part of the Toolbox, you can go ahead and join. It's not too bad. So I think it's $1.99, and that becomes a member, and there's going to be some perks that are going to be showing up as this off season goes along, and then as we get into training camp and so on. But definitely, if you guys can do me a favor, if you like what you're seeing here, make sure you hit that like button. Start off with hitting that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button, and then also hit the little notification button so that you don't miss any of the updates and information that come down here on Inside the 400ers with Jack Hammer. So there you have it, everybody. Day 1 is in the books from Santa Clara rookie minicamp. Next up, OTAs. That'll be coming up in a couple weeks. So keep it locked in here, and until we get there, still keep it in here because we're going to make sure we bring you all the 49ers breaking news and updates as it happens. Look forward to talking to you guys all soon. Take care. Have a good rest of your weekend.